this video. I just wanted to point you guys to my Skool community. You're invited. Come check me out. I got exclusive content in there. I got some resources that you're going to love, and the community is growing. So I'd like to see you in there. Now on to the video. All right, now let's take a look at how we can use the Brickwall limiter from IK Multimedia to get some push and a little bit of control with some attack and release time for our mastering setup here. Keep in mind, you always want to set your limiter, and it always wants to be at the last bit of your chain, but we're just throwing limiter on this specifically for this example. So let's drive with the input into the style. This is the algorithm. This is a very highly flexible limiter, has custom designed algorithms that can be tailored to our program material. Let's take a look here what clean does.
No, I don't need no guidance. I talk to God, don't follow science. Used to always want to find my balance.
Now let's take a look at what Advanced One does.
Not a product of my environment, cause I don't see nobody.
2.
The world is focused on retirement. I think
3.
I'll never think about it. As long as mama is the proudest.
4.
Then tell my drummer keep it knocking. And watch
Clipping.
the blessings keep on piling.
You can hear that come through.
Yeah, I'm thankful today, but I hate it when I sleep, cause all my family gotta eat. As long as I'm providing and they
Saturation
got it,
1.
I'm complete. They love to knock me down, but I get back up on my feet. You don't know what thing about
Saturation
me,
2.
only what you see. So don't you judge me. Just pray for
Saturation
me.
3.
Pray for me, just pray for me. Just pray for me, pray for me, just pray for me. No, I don't need no guidance. I talk to God, don't follow science.
So you can hear that on that clipping, you can hear those top little peaks be clipped away.
No, I don't need no guidance.
Cool. So these are the basic styles that the Brickwall limiter has to offer. Let's remember this. Mastering limiters and maximizers are about getting the final level up to the competitive nowness without audible distortion or excessive artifacts. While they share many parameters with compressors, their application and settings are different, especially concerning attack and release. Here's how I typically approach setting a limiter for mastering, focusing on attack and release times. All right, let's take a look here. First place, let's remember that the limiter is the last plugin in our mastering chain. For this example, it's going to be the first because we're only focusing on setting the limiter for this specific song. So this is crucial though, because a limiter acts as a brick wall, catching any peaks that might otherwise clip after subsequent processing. So it's the final safety net. Next, I set the output ceiling just below 0 dBFS, typically at about 0.5 to 7, maybe even sometimes 0.1 decibels true peak. So leaving a little headroom prevents intersample peaks from causing distortion when the digital audio is converted back to analog or on consumer playback systems. The amount of limiting is controlled by the threshold or the input gain parameter. So I'll increase the input gain or lower the threshold until I'm seeing about 2 to 4 dB gain of reduction on the loudest parts of the track, often the chorus or the drop. For me, anything more than that risks unwanted artifacts and a loss of punch. Let's do that right now. Let's see.
No, I don't need no guidance. I talk to God, don't follow science. Used to always want to find my balance. The truth is hard to swallow, here's a tablet. Not a product of my environment, cause I don't see nobody. The world is focused on retirement. I think I'll never think about it. As long as mama is the proudest, then...
There, now I have some gain reduction happening as I'm pushing into the Brickwall limiter. Now let's set the attack and release times for mastering. So when it comes to a mastering limiter, the attack and release settings are what make it truly musical. The goal is to make the limiting transparent while increasing the overall loudness. Here's a breakdown of how I use them. Attack, right here. On a limiter, the attack time is generally as fast as possible to catch transients immediately and prevent clipping. However, the key is finding a balance. A slow attack allows more of the initial transient through, which can result in a punchier sound. But pushing it too far can cause audible distortion. On the other hand, an extremely fast attack can sound overly aggressive and suck the life out of a mix, especially on percussive elements like drums. By shaving off the initial transient, I usually start with a fast attack and experiment with slightly longer times to see if I can get more punch without introducing unwanted artifacts. Let's try that now.
No, I don't need no guidance. I talk to God, don't follow science. Used to always want to find my balance. The truth is hard to swallow, here's a tablet. Not a product of my environment, cause I don't see nobody. The world is focused on retirement.
Release. This one right here. The release time dictates how quickly the limiter stops processing after the signal drops below the threshold. For mastering, this is a critical setting for controlling the feel of the track. A fast release time, around 50 milliseconds, is great for maximizing a perceived loudness because the gain quickly returns to normal after a transient. However, if set too fast, it can create a choppy, distorted, or pumping sound, especially with low frequencies. A slower release time, at around 250 milliseconds, creates a smoother, more transparent limiting, akin to a subtle automatic gain rider. This is a good choice for dense or sustained sounds, but it can sometimes make a track feel less exciting. Let's take a listen.
No, I don't need no guidance. I talk to God, don't follow science. Used to always want to find my balance. The truth is hard to swallow, here's a tablet. Not a product of my environment, cause I don't see nobody. The world is focused on retirement. I think I never think about it. As long as mama is the proudest, then tell my drummer keep it knocking, and watch the blessings keep on piling. Yeah,
see how it chokes that out a bit here?
I hate it when I sleep cause all my family gotta eat. As long as I'm providing and they got it, I'm complete. They love to knock me down, but I get back up on my feet. You don't know one thing about me, only what you
Even
see.
here,
So don't you judge me.
feels like it's choking that out a bit.
Pray for me, pray for me.
Let's go faster.
Just pray for me, pray for me, just pray for me. No, I don't.
So, a slower release time, so at around 22.1 milliseconds here, creates a smoother, more transparent limiting effect.
No, I don't need no guidance. I talk to God, don't follow science. Used to always want to.
All right, so my general approach here is to find a release time that breathes with the music. I'll often set the release so the gain reduction meter returns to 0 just before the next prominent transient, like a kick or a snare. Many modern limiters have an auto release or an intelligence release control, which can be an excellent starting point because of it analyzes the incoming signal to set the optimal time dynamic. If you're unsure, starting with an auto release is a solid choice. All right, so that's the Brickwall limiter from IK Multimedia. Hopefully you found this video useful.